Well, the much-awaited list of Jeffrey Epstein's 150 associates was unsealed this week by the judge presiding over a civil suit filed against Jeffrey Epstein's girlfriend and convicted procurer of underage girls, Ghislaine Maxwell. That civil suit was filed by one of those underage girls back in 2015, 4 years before Epstein hanged himself. Ghislaine Maxwell is currently serving a 20-year sentence for sex trafficking, and if you were expecting anything surprising or shocking in those hundreds of unsealed pages, you're going to be disappointed. It's just the usual suspects, and by usual suspects, Kevin Spacey is on the list. These are some of the names that stood out as I was poring over the list. These are names that were mentioned in depositions and discovery for this civil trial. Former President Bill Clinton is mentioned 50 times. Now, flight logs show that Clinton took several trips on Epstein's jet. Clinton denies ever visiting Epstein's private island. Witnesses say otherwise. According to hearsay in these documents, and it's hearsay, Jeffrey Epstein reportedly told one of the girls who was providing massages that Clinton liked his girls young. I don't believe it. Why should we believe anything Jeffrey Epstein said? Now, in the lobby of Jeffrey Epstein's New York apartment was a painting of Bill Clinton dressed as a woman. You've all seen this. It was the very first thing you saw when you walked in. Bill Clinton did strike up a friendship with Jeffrey Epstein, and it started during the Clinton presidency. But Bill Clinton didn't need Jeffrey Epstein to procure women for him. Women are automatically drawn to Bill Clinton. I've seen that with my own eyes. I don't doubt that Bill Clinton sexually harassed some of those women, but Clinton didn't need Jeffrey Epstein. He could take care of himself, and he often did in the Oval Office bathroom sink. That's in the Starr report. Clinton would take care of himself he would finish off in the Oval Office sink. Let's just say that. Clinton might have cheated on Hillary, but he became an open book with the Starr report. If he had the slightest proclivity or so much as a twinge for underage girls, we would have heard about it by now. Like many people, Clinton was taken in by Epstein, thinking that Epstein was smart, and Clinton was most definitely attracted to the company Epstein accumulated. He liked to accumulate people. So why the painting of drag queen Bill Clinton in the apartment lobby? That was for the benefit, I believe, of everybody else, to make them think Epstein was both close to Bill Clinton and had something on him. You keep a painting of an American president in drag in your lobby. You do that to signal to your other high-profile visitors that plenty of other high-profile individuals have walked through these doors, and I may or may not have stuff on them or you. Harvard law professor Alan Dershowitz is mentioned 150 times in the unsealed documents. Now, Epstein was Dershowitz's client. It was Alan Dershowitz who served as Epstein's defense attorney the first time Epstein was arrested for what are we going to call it? And then he got that sweetheart deal. There are reports that Dershowitz was seen inside Epstein's home getting massages. Dershowitz says, yes, I did get a massage inside Jeffrey Epstein's home, but it was from a middle-aged woman, and I kept my underwear on. You took your pants off? The New Yorker magazine, by the way, discovered an op-ed piece Dershowitz wrote for the Los Angeles Times in 1997 entitled, "Statutory Rape is an Outdated Concept." Well, you know what else is an outdated concept? This thing you wrote. What are we doing here for the Los Angeles Times? This did not age well. There's a lot when you're writing an article about statutory rape, there's a lot to be said for things aging properly. This did not age properly. In this piece, he suggested that the age of consent should be lower to 16. Dear God. And let me just read this. And this is Alan Dershowitz in 1997. And yet a line must be drawn, nor would it be practical to have a cutoff based on individual maturity rather than age, since maturity is so subjective a criterion. Actually, no, it's not. 18? That's not subjective. He continues to write, moreover, puberty is apparently arriving earlier. Particularly among some ethnic groups. Wow, I forgot about that line. Among some ethnic groups. So not only is he advocating for lowering the age of consent to 16, he's a race scientist. Certain ethnic groups are maturing. Good for you. This is great. Puberty is arriving earlier, particularly among some ethnic groups. Based on the demographic criteria, the age of consent should be lowered. It certainly should not be as high as 17 or 16. Do you have children? Do you have a daughter? He goes on to write, reasonable people can disagree over whether it should be as low as 14. No reasonable people. He goes on to say 15 would seem like an appropriate compromise. No! Perhaps there should be staircasing below 15 with the penalty increasing inversely with the age of the victim. That would be Harvard professor Alan Dershowitz. This is what a $500,000 education buys you. He got published. You got to be publish or perish, as they say in academia. He got published. Wow. Los Angeles Times, 1997. No surprise here. Also on the list is, I didn't mean to laugh. I'm not mocking, by the way, statutory rape. I'm mocking the stupidity of that article. That is some good water. That is good water. Well, no surprise here. I was not laughing at the victims there. I was laughing at the sheer stupidity of a Harvard professor writing that in 1997 and being a respected, people were paying him millions to defend, for his legal expertise. No surprise here. Also on the list is Andrew Albert Christian Edwards. He's the Duke of York. Andrew Albert Christian Edwards. The plaintiff in the civil lawsuit against Ghislaine Maxwell was paid millions of dollars by Andrew to settle claims he sexually assaulted her 3 times when she was 17. Now, I should note that the age of consent in the United Kingdom is 16, but he was accused of sexual assault. Right before the death of his mother, the Queen, Andrew was ordered to step back from all his princely duties and is no longer considered a working royal, but he has not been stripped of his royal titles. Also revealed in the unsealed court documents are reports of Andrew being sued by an unnamed Jane Doe back in 2014, who said she was a minor when Epstein forced her to participate in an underage orgy on Epstein's island with Prince Andrew. Don't know if that's an orgy. I just think it would, if it's true, it would just be an assault. Also on the list is Louis Freeh, who served as FBI director under Bill Clinton and briefly during the George W. Bush administration. He might have been going undercover. Don't know how he defines undercover, but he might have been going undercover. Former Vice President Al Gore is also on the list. And again, these are people who were seen with Jeffrey Epstein. Gore went to Harvard, and Epstein, I think Epstein is a college dropout, but he did teach calculus at Dalton. He had some great mathematical mind. He was hired by Bill Barr. Remember Bill Barr? He was the attorney general under Trump. Bill Barr's father was the headmaster at Dalton, and he hired Jeffrey Epstein to teach calculus at Dalton. And then Bill Barr's father went on to write science fiction novels, I'm not making this up, about a planet run by oligarchs who engage in pedophilia. Just throwing that out there. You can look that up. Bill Barr's father, Attorney General of the United States, was running the Justice Department when Jeffrey Epstein hanged himself in his cell mysteriously. No footage, no video. The guards just anyway. I'm talking about Al Gore, who went to Harvard, and Epstein was constantly courting Harvard professors, like Alan Dershowitz, and, because he wanted to create his little salon. So let's not go all full QAnon here. Not everybody who was in the vicinity of Jeffrey Epstein is a criminal. For example, Michael Jackson is also mentioned. I think it's a pretty safe wager Michael wasn't on the receiving end of any massages from underage girls. I think we can all agree on that. That's how screwed up the story is. The only person on Jeffrey Epstein's list whose innocence, when it comes to child trafficking, whose innocence we're absolutely certain of, is Michael Jackson's. He's the only one we go, no, Michael's innocent. How many times has that ever happened? And like I said earlier, Kevin Spacey made the list. And for my thoughts on Kevin Spacey being on Jeffrey Epstein's list, I refer you to my previous comments regarding Michael Jackson. By the way, so far, nobody's been able to convict Kevin Spacey, partly because they've died. A lot of the people have died, but he has not been found guilty. Just pointing that out. Kevin Spacey has not been found guilty. Former New Mexico governor, as well as energy secretary and ambassador to the UN under Bill Clinton, the late Bill Richardson is on the list and has been accused of several crimes by witnesses. Richardson died last year at the age of 75. Way too young. I'm going to say way too young and leave it at that. Jean-Luc Brunel, who worked as a scout for top model agencies, was also on the list. Now, since 1988, Jean-Luc Brunel has been swatting away allegations of sexual assault. He's been swatting them away until his arrest by French police in 2020 on charges of raping minors. 2 years later, he was found dead in his jail cell from an apparent suicide in Paris. Wow. Bill Barr was the Attorney General of France as well? Can you do that? Can you two-time America and be Attorney General in France at the same time? Was Bill Barr cheating on America by also being the Attorney General of France?
It's time right now for the David Feldman Show. So get your ears on right, buckle in real tight. He's got a lot to say.